What's going on, folks? We are here for kind of a new live stream, um, a cuppa and comics. A cuppa mainly from the sheer fact of I think coffee is taken, coffee and comics is taken. So also a cuppa, not everyone likes coffee, so you can have a cuppa whatever, right? I know this is like a British slang term for a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. I'm not British, obviously, but it works. The alliteration, right? What's going on? If you're here, we're talking fresh comics, not necessarily comics from this week that just came out. We're talking even comics that are just new to you and to me, things that I picked up. Give me a second while I share out the live stream link here to some folks. But I hope everyone has been having a wonderful Friday. It has been super hot where I am. Hopefully it's been nice where you are. And it's been good. Been busy, been doing all kinds of things. But yeah, put anything you want in the chat. What I'm most curious about is like, what have you been reading? Hey, Polly, how are you? Glad you could come. I know you love talking comics. So do I. I have no one to talk like really live with these comics right now. So we're going to talk about them because I wanted to do that. Post. All right. All right, link is being shared. I saw that you were still reading Onslaught, Polly. I don't know how long that is, but I can only imagine. There's much more than I remember in there, and to be fair, I barely remember the storyline, but it's taking longer than I thought. And while we're at it, how is evolution? Yes. Evolution has been good. I am through 8 episodes, I think. 8 or 9. I think it's 8. The last one that I saw was the famous scene of Rogue and Kitty dancing as Evan Spike was filming them, filming his life. And I don't know why he thought it was such a good idea to continue filming all the things the X-Men were doing. so ridiculous, but also funny at the same time. I'm like, come on, man. Don't you know that this is probably not a good idea to film yourself and everything else that's going on at the mansion? But other than that, it's been really good. I've been enjoying it. The nostalgia hits hard. There are times when I'm like, it was definitely in either episode 1 or 2. At one point, it was like very, how do I want to describe it? New England-esque in like the fall or the spring. I can't remember. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's Gilmore Girls right there. That is totally Gilmore Girls, which is again, very like 2000s. That's literally when they were hiding the whole existence of mutants. Yeah, exactly. He was right there. He was like, let's just film everyone. Also filming Jean as she's getting ready. Totally inappropriate. Come on, Spike. Get with the program, man. But it was interesting to see Forge as they went back in time with who was it who got caught back in time? Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler got caught back in time with that device set they found. And that was interesting and fun to see. If you're just joining, we are talking about X-Men Evolution, not comics so far. But X-Men Evolution has been good. I think it's an interesting take on them being like in high school and like going through their teenage years. I also think it's pretty interesting of how like Wolverine is older and kind of like the big uncle in this setting. But now as I'm watching it after 97 and the fallout of like Professor X, as I'm sitting here watching Professor X now, I'm like, you son of a bitch. How could you do these kids so wrong? All you want is something for your own good. Yeah. And the Brotherhood are those bad kids you are told to stay away from. Totally. It's very interesting too how they've taken so far almost every episode is kind of like an intro to a character, which isn't a bad thing. Like there's a whole Nightcrawler episode, a whole episode devoted to the Blob was interesting. A whole episode devoted to Kitty. Obviously a whole episode devoted to Spike. A whole episode devoted to Rogue, right? So it's been good though. Like I like that as an introduction, especially if you have no background knowledge to any of this. Um, Charles totally wanted his own child army. He really did. It's what I think they should do with the MCU X-Men because you can't introduce characters in 5 minutes. Yeah. Someone posted that earlier and I didn't know what to write. Or it was like a poll of if you want DMV comic book nerds, what's going on? Glad you're here. Again, we're not talking comic books yet. We're talking X-Men Evolution, which is going to be for a future live stream, ideally on Wednesday. But yeah, I don't know if I don't know what I want live action MCU to be. I feel like I would be okay with like a big team movie first and then doing like smaller individual movies. But I can also see the reasoning behind doing I can also see the reasoning behind doing individual movies first and then doing a team movie. I don't really know which I would prefer, but I can get behind the reasoning of like introducing everyone in just like 5 minutes to be like, here's the X-Men, everyone, and go. But I think maybe doing something along the lines of like having an X-Men movie and then where obviously you get little bits and pieces of the team and then breaking that down into like origin movies, but having that tie into the overall existential crisis from the first movie. Yeah. Like I think a lot of people love Kitty, but I don't think many people would show up to her movie, right? Like you'd have to pick and choose the right characters. Unfortunately, Wolverine would be one, right? But I don't know if they would redo that. I feel like I don't know. I don't even know now. I don't even know what individual ones they could do. I think it really depends on who they're going to have. But I can see maybe doing like them having like a TV show, right, with some of these mutants and like how like some of the team members and how they got their powers and then teamed up ultimately either leading into the movie or in hindsight after the movie so people have a better idea. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. We're on the same wavelength, Polly. I almost called you Kitty. We're on the same wavelength, Polly. But yeah, I feel like a show could do well, especially for those smaller characters like Kitty, like again, it really depends on who they're going to have. Um, but I feel like a lot of them may not necessarily need an entire movie, right? Because again, I don't know how many people would show up for a Kitty Pride movie. I just don't. I don't know, and that would be considered a flop by a lot of folks. Yeah, I haven't seen New Mutants DMV. It's on my list. I would agree. Polly. Even Storm probably won't be able to pull people in. What's going on, Super J? Glad you can make it. We haven't talked comics yet. We were talking X-Men Evolution and now live action X-Men. But I guess we'll get to the point here. So, sort of the point. What's everyone reading? What did everyone pick up? This is like, my thought was like fresh comics, but it doesn't have to be new this week. It could just be fresh to you, which for me is pretty much everything. Let's see. These are the 4 that I picked up this week. We've got X-Men 97, issue number 3. Whoop, there we go. Glare. Ultimate Black Panther, issue number 4. And I know DMV, we talked about this on the last one, but you picked up both of those, I believe. And then I was going to get Spectacular Spider-Man, but I decided against it. It just really hasn't been holding my and as I was browsing the bins, I found these fantastic, like the 2 main groups that I'm reading right now, Fantastic Four and the X-Men. So Fantastic Four versus the X-Men seemed like a good grab. They were only a couple bucks each. I was like, I can't pass this up. The problem is I'm missing issue 3 and 4, so I'm gonna have to find those. But yeah, what's everyone else picking up, or what's everyone been reading? What's new to them? Again, doesn't have to be new this week. I don't really care. We're just here to talk about it. Yeah, Polly, X-Men 97 is, this one is the penultimate one. It's only a 4 issue series, so not very much. Which I'm kind of okay with. I still like it as a comic. I think it's good. It's definitely bonus material to X-Men 97 is how I've been looking at it. I think the biggest thing for me is that it's kind of, if there was no show, I don't know how well it could hold. I don't know how well it could hold my attention. I haven't read much of Fall of X, but I believe that's the end, because next week or in 2 weeks is the final X-Men issue 35, 37. I forget what number it is, but it's coming out either next week or in 2 weeks. I've through other people that I've been watching on YouTube who've been following X-Men, they have said that Fall of X seems to be like super rushed. Yeah. Yeah, this 97 issue, it's been fine. Again, it's like bonus material. So it's kind of like it's been good, but like, yeah, I agree. Like, why does this keep happening? Right? It was a little interesting to see some more background info on Carl Denty, Executioner from the show, and kind of obviously led to him, although he clearly had motivations to not be on mutant side to begin with. So it wasn't really hard for him to find even more retaliation. I don't think it wouldn't have happened. It was kind of ironic, though, how Storm stopped him from doing something in this issue. And then later, we all know what happens, which is, very sad. DMV, all 4 issues of Fantastic Four versus X-Men on Marvel. I assumed that they were. I didn't even know that was a thing until I saw it. And then now that I'm missing issues 3 and 4, I'm like, ooh. And I just finished reading issue 2. I'm like, I'm going to have to finish these 2 because I need to know what happens. Yeah, the 97 comic, I've said it before. Like, it's not bad. It's just, it's a good companion to the show, and that we've already seen the entire show. It's nice to see some of the stuff that was happening before, but it really doesn't give us too much insight, really. And it's, I've kept saying this, if, as most people are, if you're on a budget when it comes to comics, I would recommend getting something else compared to the X-Men 97 comic. Because I feel like you're not getting that much. And again, if there was no show, obviously this wouldn't exist. But like if there was no show, I feel like you're not getting there. This story wouldn't like sell well. Like it would probably end pretty quickly. 97 could have been so much more, but feels like a money grab. Totally. It definitely does feel like a money grab. I really thought that it was going to be more so like classic comics, like individual stories of like something happening, and then that ends, new storyline. Like I knew it was going to only be 4 issues, but I thought it was going to be like 4 separate distinct events that would have like filled us in on some stuff. Maybe, somewhat related to the show, but not completely related to the show. You have to read the ones where they do versions of Krakoa with the 97 cast. Ooh. Do you know what those would be? DMV comic book nerds? Because I'm not sure. Ideally, 97 comics should have been introduction. Yeah, I agree, Polly. Should have definitely been an introduction to draw people in to see the show. I just think, I don't know. I just thought it was going to be a little bit different. At this point, I'm kind of like, I need to see what happens. But it's definitely, I like that they worked with the show's creators to develop this story. I just thought, again, it would have been like 4 separate stories, kind of like a classic comic. Like this happens and it ends. This happens and it ends. It just would have given us like more meat of like what happened in between. But it's clearly just like, here is the like very specific storyline that led into show. Sort of. It really only has to do with one thing, and that's Sinister. X-Men 92, House of, okay, awesome. I will check that out. Just add it to add it to the backlog of all the things. But I appreciate that. What does everyone think of Ultimate Black Panther? I know we had mentioned it for a hot second. It's probably right now my second favorite Ultimate title, with Ultimate X-Men being number 1. But Ultimate Black Panther has been great. It's better, I think, right now than Ultimate Spider-Man. Like Ultimate Spider-Man was up there for me. I think after the last issue, it really went downhill. Not in a bad way. Ultimate Black Panther is your number 1. That's awesome. Yeah. The art is definitely great. The story is totally intriguing. Yeah. I'm loving it. I love that it's not, there's no slowing down. It's just been like the story has been actively evolving every single issue. And there's so much intrigue as to what's happening within Wakanda and who this infiltrator could be. It's got to be, I forget which issue it was. It's got to be that one lady, Dora Milaje, kind of like leader or general that, I forget who it was, either Okoye or Shuri was talking to. Do you think the spy is Okoye? See, that's the thing. I was thinking that she is. She's been kinda shady, right? She's been kinda shady right now, and I feel like initially they're trying to, like, draw you to not liking Shuri because she was like, "Let's go this way," kind of, like, disagreeing with, um, T'Challa and even Okoye, and you could tell there's already beef between Okoye and Shuri anyway to begin with. Um, but yeah, I don't think Okoye is the spy to be someone we've already seen. Everyone is you're not wrong, Polly. Everyone is kinda shady as hell except for Storm right now. You're not wrong. I just think I think it's that I forget which issue it was. It's either the first one or the second one, but Shuri leaves at some point and she talks, "Hey, Marvel fan. Um, thanks for joining. We are right now talking about comics. We're specifically Ultimate Black Panther issue number 4. So if you haven't, if you want to like not be spoiled, we're kind of talking spoilers, kind of not, but um, be weary. But if you don't mind, then hang around and just chat. Um, what about Killmonger, Polly? But I do agree. Everyone is kind of shady. It is interesting that they are bypassing Killmonger's villain phase. I want to know more. Trap Rock. Um, I want to know more about that and like why he left and why he left Wakanda. That's what I want to know. Shows up with Roro knows stuff. Yeah, I think overall though, I think Brian Hill's doing an amazing job. I felt like the story hasn't been slow. It's been intriguing since the first issue. Every issue there's a cliffhanger. And it's been a really good series so far. They're crushing it. I agree too. To go back to DMV, right? Like I want to know more about Khonshu and Ra. Clearly there's something along the lines of like what is it? They're after something. And I don't even think it's vibranium. I think it's something else. Cuz in the solicit for that just came out for August, they for issue 7, the one where Black Panther fights the Christmas lights. um they talk about them looking for something of power, and I don't even think it's vibranium. It's got to be that thing that that Killmonger and Storm showed Black Panther last issue, at the end of last issue, whatever that thing was. It is very different from Moon Knight, and I don't know much about Moon Knight except from the show, to be honest. Something to do with the Wakandan gods, or maybe not. The other thing that's also really shady, right, is like this Vodou Khan. Like, they also seem shady. And I don't understand exactly what's going there besides like their intercommunication between the gods to whoever, right? But I'm like, man, these people are kind of shady too. You're not wrong, Polly. Pretty much everyone seems shady right now. But the art has been great too by Castelli. Um, Overall, I'm excited to see where this keeps going. Yeah. I still think the spy is that one person that Shuri talked to, that one general. I think you said her name earlier, Polly. Um, there was another one. I forget her name, and maybe it's not Anika or Ao. There was like a general that Shuri talked to at one point. It's got to be the first issue or the second. She like got angry, walked out of the room, and she talked to this general about wanting to go to war. I think um, this general from the Dora Milaje, but I think it's her. Is my guess. However, my suspicions of Okoye are still there too, but it seems too likely that she would be the spy. But yeah. DMV, are you reading anything else? If you're still here, I'm not sure if you are or aren't. I can only see the number of people who are here, not who. I believe. Yeah, I can't see who's here. Fall of X. Yeah. Is that the end? DMV? Do you know? As Polly had mentioned. Because I have not gotten that far in Krakoa. But again, from some of the other people that I watch on YouTube that mainly talk X-Men, haven't been too the people that I have watched said it has felt rushed. Really? Fall of X similar of not knowing not knowing what to do with the event. Interesting. Like how many times are X-Men gonna fight an evil robot? Well, it's almost the same one, right? Like I'm assuming it has to do with Nimrod, and he's essentially the one partly behind Bastion. Um, so it's essentially the same evil robot. And there's always a human-made robot. Yeah, not ideal. To answer your question, Marvel fan, my initial um quick background, I am a physical therapist, although I don't do much of that anymore, but like have a huge background in fitness training, human anatomy. And I initially started my channel to talk about like bridge the gap between what like actors were doing for training for their roles in Marvel, and breaking that down to help people. And then I was going to talk about like maybe the physical aspects of certain characters or like what they would do to train. And then I was like, I'm doing too much of that. And I decided to not stick with that. And then I just decided to just talk about Marvel stuff. Computo. That's a one heck of a name. Computo. Nice. Speaking of X-Men and more recent comics, have you all caught up on Ultimate X-Men? Polly, that's funny. To be honest, I thought your name was picked because you do streams after a workout. Sometimes, but no, that is not why. I initially had what I had just said, and then obviously alliteration, but yeah, it changed. But I still like working out and fitness, so I figured I'd just keep it. It's easier to do that than change it. What are your thoughts on Ultimate X-Men? I know a lot of people were complaining about it at first, given that it wasn't an X-Men story um, initially, but I think we're starting to see that all come together now at this point, almost. I think they're going to flesh out the rest of the members in the next few issues. Yeah, no, that's totally fine. There's no hate towards anyone not liking or liking a comic book. Everyone's different. Like as I'm reading through, I don't know, Hickman's Avengers to like lead up into Secret Wars, I just feel like there's too much going on. You know, it's just like, um, as I'm reading it, and now after reading more Fantastic Four and X Men, all I got to say is I'm like, I feel like I really like Fantastic Four and X Men a whole heck of a lot more than the Avengers. Yeah. Okay. There's a reason Avengers were a B-list team. Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, I mainly knew Marvel and Avengers from the MCU. So it seemed like the Avengers were the team, right? Unbeknownst to me, same thing with Iron Man. Everyone's like, Iron Man's great. And being in like forums and stuff like that and seeing it, like, no one really liked Iron Man. He was just like not a not a very good comic book character in comparison to other ones. And then the MCU made him and the Avengers way more cooler than they actually were, at least from the comic realm. But as I'm reading the comics with them, I'm just like, this is just like they're kind of boring. They're kind of boring. Like the Avengers are boring. I'm just when you compare it to like X-Men, I'm like, this is some stuff here. There's no soap, there's not much soap opera. There's not much soap opera to the Avengers. I think I like Ultimate X-Men the most for two reasons. I'm not really into horror. This is kind of like a horror comic, but not too much. And I'm also not really akin to most um like anime, manga style art, but Peach Momoko's is very fun to look at and to see. And I feel like the thing that's getting me is like I'm very intrigued with the like shadow demon aspect in X-Men, Ultimate X-Men right now. I'm like, I need to know what this is. Let's see, as we go back. Marvel fan, I have read a bit of Ultimate X-Men. It is whatever. I'm not the biggest X-Men fan of the present comics and stories. I love classic 90s X-Men and the 80s. I started reading the Avengers comics regularly when Wolverine, Spider-Man, and Luke Cage joined. So I have read some of those comics, and it is fun. Those are fun to have. At least because of the, like, back and forth between, like, Luke Cage and Spider-Man, at least the ones that I've read have been good. Yeah, the Bendis that's exactly it. That's what I read. I read some random issues with, um, oh my gosh, Ronin, the Ronin, who I won't spoil it for anyone, but, yeah. Yeah, Momoko style, I enjoy it. It's very good. It's probably not my favorite either, but I just think it's different and it's visually intriguing. What I like is she does a really good job telling a story with her art and not a ton of words. Um, which isn't always the case per se, right? But I think she does a really good job combining her abilities in being able to craft a story. What are y'all's favorite old school X-Men stories? I'm sure Polly has one, and I'm sure you have one, DMV. I agree, Polly. Like the Guardians movie worked well, and because of the popularity of them and how I like them, you can go as old school as you want, Polly. But DMV, feel free to clarify the question. Um, I read some of the Guardians of the Galaxy comics, probably only one or two, and I was like, these are not fun to read. So I can see your point as, you know, taking some of those quote unquote, maybe not the best characters via a comic, but making them fun and exciting on screen is way different. But I can see your point though. People are expecting perfection with the X-Men as clearly the biggest and probably most favorite property of Marvel. Life Death was a good read, Polly. Life Death was good. I even tried to read some of the comics in between to like get an understanding of what the heck was happening, especially before part 2. Warlock takes up Doug. Oh my goodness. What's yours, DMV? What's your favorite old school? And Marvel fan, if you're here, DMV asked the question of like, what's your old school favorite X-Men story? I don't really have one. I haven't done enough old school X-Men. When I first started, he literally dug up his body. When I first started X-Men, I went all the way to X-Men #1. And as I'm reading them, I'm going, this isn't the X-Men. And this is kind of boring. Also very like you could tell it was a guy from whatever era that was writing the dialogue of Stan Lee. Because I'm like, man, this is some cringy. Some of this is really cringy that we're reading right now. Even with Fantastic Four, some of it is very cringy dialogue. Yeah. I've heard that's really good. God Loves, Man Kills. I feel like you have to go back and read most of these, even if you have seen the like live adaptations, because there's just so much more to it, and even the adaptations are altered and changed. You know, so yeah, I even got my sister to read it. Nice. Yeah, I've heard multiple good things about God Loves Man Kills. Most of the stuff that I have read after reading the initial X-Men and being like, this is kind of not what I thought X-Men was, and then it was, most of it was go back to the Claremont era, and then starting some of that, I was like, oh, this makes way more sense. Marvel fan, I like Dark Phoenix and Age of Apocalypse classic stories than the Onslaughts. There you go. Polly is reading Onslaught or trying to finish it up right now. She's struggling. Polly, when are you starting your Fantastic Four read? Yes, rereading. Nice. Nice. Next week. The one thing I kind of have liked reading some of these older issues as I like think about it, while some of it does take a while because there's a lot of descriptive text, the I feel like you get so much more story in one issue. Like there's so much more compared to some of the comics of today. I don't know how everyone else feels about that. But after just reading these two issues of Fantastic Four versus the X-Men, I was like, so much has happened in these two issues. I feel like half of some other issue right now would have only been in one of these. Yeah, right there, Polly. And while at first I was like, man, some of this descriptive text is hard to read. Like, I get why they're doing it, but at the same time, it's kind of like redundant because they're showing it in the picture. But at the same time, it's really cool. Like, where was it? It was in this one, I think. Yeah, like right here. Where are we? We got to go backwards. Like the Thing did a huge like thunderclap, and Storm was on her way to try and stop Wolverine, and then the thunderclap pushed Storm closer, and she says it right there. Oh my gosh, this backwards is hello. Mo, what's up? Right? She says Magneto is stunned, but the shockwave generated by the Thing slap threw me close enough to grab Wolverine. And most of that, again, was her like thought bubble versus, um, you know, just assuming that that's what happened or seeing it. Mo, we're just talking comics, man. Talking old and new comics. The question has been posed of what's your favorite classic? Classic being anything pre 2000s X-Men story. Um, so yeah. But there's so much more in the old, in like classic comics. So much more story, like compared to, as I leave frame real quick. This is no shade on Spider-Punk Arms Race here. But I feel like the story, like it hasn't moved much. It is only a short 4-issue run. This was issue 3. It's good, but I feel like this is only like half of one of those issues. Polly, yeah, I love those thought bubbles. That's how you got to know the characters and relate to them. The question, oh, I know you love Doom, but who is your favorite Fantastic Four hero? Ugh, that's a good question, and I'm not entirely sure. I've gone back and forth between um Johnny, Human Torch, just because I like his like smart aleckness, kind of like Spider-Man. Um, and he's not like super over the top. Claude, what's going on, man? Nice of you to join. We are just talking comics. We're all over the place right now. Again, the question has been posed by DMV. Um, what is your favorite classic? Classic being pre 2000s X-Men story. Um, it might be Johnny. At points, I really want to like Reed, but then there's times when I don't like Reed at all. I feel like in the stuff that I have read, Sue is normally like almost seems like an afterthought sometimes. Um, not in a bad way, but sometimes in a bad way. Whatever it is, I can't. I don't know. I just haven't read anything where I can connect with her too much. I'm really surprised that so many people love The Thing. And this is something that I eventually want to talk about and maybe even make a video about as I'm reading like fantastic some of the Fantastic Four from the beginning. The Thing, he must have changed in his like personality at some point because The Thing seems really boring to me. He just seems he's always angry. Just always angry. And like in the newer Fantastic Four run, he's a very like gentle person. um and you know, he can turn clobbering time on when he needs to turn it on. But like in some of these old issues, he's just always angry. And he has this like weird there's like this weird subtext of him being in love with Sue and he's jealous of Reed. um and he just always seems angry. Like he always like anytime Johnny says something, he's like, "You're too dumb. You're a dumb little kid. Of course you would say something like that." And then again, he's just always like he's like I don't know when that switch was for The Thing, but every time I read something, everyone's always like, "The Thing, he's my favorite." And I'm like, "Why?" I don't know when that has happened or when it changed. All good, Marvel fan. You can come and go as you please. There's no obligation to be here, but I appreciate you being here. This makes me wonder who I might like. I've seen Reed enough to not like him. Sue's been doing well in some arcs. Like I want to say Secret Invasion, but I don't remember why. Yeah. Again, I truly haven't read enough Fantastic Four. I've read all of whatever's available on Marvel Unlimited of the current Fantastic Four run. And then I'm through like the first 7 issues of Fantastic Four, and then I've read some random stuff, and then I've also read Life Story. Um, so it has been interesting. Probably out of all that, Johnny's probably my favorite. Again, just because he's kind of likes to have fun, and he's you know, again he has that like those Peter Parker quips. Polly, the Thing always annoyed me with his ridiculous attitude. The other thing that's funny that I wanna um in some of these older issues, like when the Fantastic Four are by themselves, like in a hideout somewhere. Like I get why the Thing is like in cover up and like trying to disguise himself in like a trench coat and a hat from the general public because he doesn't want to be seen. But when they're by themselves and he's still wearing those, I'm like, everyone knows who you are. Why are you still wearing a trench coat and a hat? That is exactly right, Claude. I am saying I wouldn't like him when he's angry. I would not wanna get in the way of the thing when he's angry. Beast does do the same thing. That is true. It's always just like, yeah, you're not wrong, Polly, self-conscious. And obviously early on he wasn't like still I can get that, right? He wasn't fully into himself after being changed into the thing. So I can get that. Yeah. But I go back to Polly, right? Like I know why you when you said like I know why people sympathize with him, but he's not a person I'd want to be around. Kind of like when Wolverine becomes a character of himself or any angry person. I just roll my eyes. Yeah. Totally. It just kind of gets I don't know, just it gets weird. I've heard the Wade Waringo run has been really good. And I don't know anything about what they do with Doom, so that'll be interesting. I do see positive I'm not saying I hate the thing. I do see positive qualities in him, right? Like, he'll just throw down with people and just, like yeah. His stubbornness plays into how good of a character he can be because he just doesn't give up, right? But it's so far in all of the original stuffs that I've read, I don't understand why people would be like, "The Thing is my favorite." I should check out Zdarsky's Marvel 2-in-1 starring Ben and Johnny. That would be yeah, I should do that. And plus Zdarsky, I like his writing. Yeah. The Thing is very unique looking. I like him in the newer stuff. Like, he's not a bad character, in at least the current run, that I've read by Brian North. It's very good. Just recently read a book when the OG X-Men went to a cafe in Alaska and Beast was in a scarf and a hat. And bro, you're still very flu. This almost reminds me, this is not comics related, but Lupin on Netflix or whatever it was originally. But like Lupin, when he goes in and like disguises himself, some of these disguises, I'm like, are people are not catching on to your Lupin? Like, it's still very obvious that it's you. Are we not seeing this, people? Are we not seeing that it is still Lupin? Rock slide is basically the same thing, but gray rocks are a dime a dozen. What if we dip them in orange paint? There we go. Beast should have put on a baseball cap and sunglasses. Foolproof. Totally foolproof. The Superman effect with those disguises is just too much sometimes. I was like, is that a mistake? Oh, favorite of the original 5 X-Men. That's a good question. We talking original Claude? Like, Lee and Kirby original? Because I know some people, like, think of the X-Men, like, after Claremont started writing. Okay. Yeah, original. That's a good question. I only read a few of those issues because again, as I was reading them, I had mentioned this earlier. As I'm like reading them, I'm like, this isn't really this isn't the X-Men that I'm aware of, right? But then also as I'm reading, I'm like, this is really some of it is cringy, like very of the times misogynistic writing from Lee. I'm like, oh, this is a little tough to read. Um, I don't know if it's from that time, but I almost want to say Iceman, but I'm not even sure, to be honest. So pretty much not the original X-Men, Polly. Oh, current versions, but of those original. Is that is that a better um thought, Claude? Like of the original, but more current versions? Okay. Easier. Yeah. I don't really know either. Hmm. I don't know. I haven't watched any of that DMV, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. That's quote unquote like the I don't want to call it a kid show, but it's more centered towards younger kids, I believe, right? I do want to watch it. And I have little blocks for my daughter from that and the Avengers. Did the time displaced OG X-Men ever make it back to their original time? Polly with the confirmation of yep. While we're on animation, has everyone here seen Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur? I know Mo would like to talk about that. Yeah. I think I've seen like 7 or 8 episodes of that too, DMV. So I haven't gotten far, but it is great. It's amazing. Polly, you would like it. You would I think you would really like it, Polly. See, I knew Mo would want to talk about it. Oh, that's cool. DMV. Got to meet one of the writers as she was doing a book signing. Yeah, that's awesome. I love the animation. The music is great. So good. Lots of good messages. Very similar to 97 with a different kind of take on things, right? When can we expect a giant X-Men character tier list video? That's a great question, Claude. I don't know. Probably not for a while. I've been trying to go through and read some of these. My plan is to make a Deadpool Wolverine video, but based on comics and kind of like their times that they were vetted against each other and the times that they've teamed up. So I've been culminating some issues to read, and then I have to read them and then make a video about it. These little emojis. Cultural specificity. The Lower East Side is a character of its own. Ah, very true, Mo. It really is. It is a really good take on things. Like I feel like I haven't read or know anything about the Beyonder from anything so far, with the exception of like some people have talked about them. But the most that I've seen of Beyonder is in Moon Girl. And all I'm ever going to think about now is that version of Beyonder. Is Moon Girl still an Inhuman in the show? That I don't know. Mo, do you have that answer? I don't know if she is. It hasn't been hinted at in what I've seen. Beyonder, I hardly know her. Ugh, Mo, let's not talk about that again. Yeah, pretty much Polly. Yeah, not Inhuman. At least what I've seen so far, there's no hint at it. I didn't even know she was an Inhuman. But you're not wrong, Polly. Marvel is like Inhumans. Who? Yeah. Someone asked if they were going to be, like I posed that question of Natasha Lyonne, of who she was going to be in Fantastic Four, and some people were suspecting Medusa, and I'm interested of how like I don't think she would be Medusa, because I feel like exactly what Polly said. I feel like Marvel doesn't even want to touch the Inhumans right now. They're like, nah, we don't have to deal with them anymore. We've got the X-Men now. It is interesting how Moon Girl and Miss Marvel started as Inhumans, but Marvel's undoing that. The Inhumans own slaves, DMV. Oh, see, I didn't know that. And obviously, I don't think that they would want to do that. That's got to be the only reason why Natasha Lyonne would be Medusa, is because of her hair. And I'm like, yeah, but and that can all be changed. Yeah, it's on the show and in the comics. Yeah, I haven't seen the Inhuman show, and I've only read a few little bits of the Inhumans in the comics. That's who I think Polly is, Alicia. But I feel like, just to go back, like I feel like Marvel is undoing a lot of Inhuman stuff, right? Like Moon Girl and Miss Marvel, because the Inhumans just didn't hit with audiences, and then they slowly got their rights back to X-Men. And they're like, "Oh, we're gonna just make some changes of some of these characters and make them mutants now, and we're just gonna forget about the Inhumans. No one's gonna mention them again." That's because they wanted to replace mutants, and no one was having that. Yeah, we talked about this earlier, but Polly's like, the X-Men are legends. They're not going away. The ugliest thing they pulled was Terrigen killing mutants. Hmm. Yes, and Mo, you're not wrong. Feige getting Natasha Lyonne, just all the people for Fantastic Four is huge so far. The cast, but yeah, I feel like they're undoing Inhumans, and they're gonna ride the X-Men hard into all of the things. All my homies hate the Inhumans. I don't know much about it, but again, it doesn't seem like it hit very well with audiences. Um, yeah, doesn't seem like it hit well with audiences. Yeah, I can't see how they would pull that in. And someone mentioned in one of like the comments of like how the Inhumans are intricately interwoven with the Fantastic Four somewhat. Like one so far through like the first 7 or 8 issues. I haven't seen any of them yet. And then the only ones that I did read were that initial um, issue of the Galactus trilogy. But like, there's so many other things that Marvel can focus on versus the Inhumans when it comes to the Fantastic Four. Plus, they could just leave them out. They don't need to. They don't need to have them in there. Mo, this question was posed earlier, and I'd love to know your thoughts. When it comes to live action X-Men, do you think would you prefer starting with a team movie, or would you rather do individual movies slash stories than a team movie? Yeah, Quicksilver was married to Crystal at one point. Also, um, Johnny Storm was like in love with Crystal at the beginning of the Galactus trilogy, when then they cut themselves off from the rest of when the Inhumans then cut themselves off from the rest of humanity. So there's some people that thought Natasha Lyonne might be Crystal. Mo votes team movie. That wasn't even hard for him. Yep, right there, Polly. Yeah, someone who said it? DMV, right? DMV said it, that Quicksilver, or Mo said it. Mo said it. Quicksilver was married to Crystal at one point. Who has time to introduce a million mutants anyway? Yeah. We were saying that maybe doing Ish, what's going on, bro? Nice to have you here. We're just chatting all things. We've gone from comics to now live action, X-Men. So feel free to jump in on the convo. We're all over the place. That's true, Mo. The team movie introduces the idea of a sudden explosion in the mutant population. True. We said that maybe doing like Polly had suggested doing like a show, but not even like an individual character show, but maybe with some of those origins of some of the team members, like afterwards, might be helpful and might do well. Like DMV had mentioned, like New Mutants would have been better as a show. Um, and then Polly also brought up, she's like, I don't even think people would show up for some of these individual movies. Like, even with Storm being how good of a character she is, I don't think people would show up like they would for a movie, which I pretty much agree with, right? Like, I mean, I would go, but I don't think that they would get what they were hoping for from that kind of like origin style movie. I sort of hope they would introduce them by the White Event from the New Universe comics. I have seen the X-Men movies news, but I haven't seen any official info, so I'm not jumping into theorizing. Yeah, I did see that the X-Men, so to go off of that, the X-Men MCU film does have a writer, Michael Leslie from the Hunger Games, the recent Hunger Games movie. And the reboot ish, are we talking about like total MCU soft reboot? And then the Fantastic Four. I mean, I'm excited for the Fantastic Four. It should be good. It's interesting. I like that it's going to be in a different universe. And we've talked about this before on previous live streams. It would be nice for them to maybe keep it in a separate one, but we all know that it's going to be brought into one. I don't know what the X-Men movie could even be about. I don't even want to theorize either. Oh, specifically the X-Men and Fantastic Four. Yeah. No, I'm excited for those. Live action X-Men is going to be so good. And the Fantastic Four is going to be so good too. The cast is going to be great. I think you're right, Mo. I think they're going to backdoor introduce them by the fusion of a universe at the end of Secret Wars. Yeah. That seems to be. I try to not look at potential theories or leaks because I don't really want to know of what they may be. But that seems to be a popular one, that there's going to be some sort of like incursion. And that's how they're going to come together. The idea of merging universes kind of always bugged me. It will be very confusing to casuals, though. It will. You're not wrong. Dormant X gene activated by a cosmic event. That does make sense. I didn't look at it that way, DMV, but now that you bring it up, he had said, did anyone else feel like Quantumanium was low-key a Fantastic Four movie in the sense of four family members exploring another dimension? I didn't look at it like that, DMV, but I can see how that is. I didn't mind Quantumania. Like, I thought it was fine. Is it the best movie there is? No, but I enjoyed it. But I didn't think of it that way. But you're not wrong. Like, that is a very typical Fantastic Four story. I'm a Quantumania apologist. I liked it a lot. I enjoyed it. I'm still salty that, I mean, this is really, I wish Jonathan Majors was not gone. Obviously, what he did was not right. His whole relationship, both he and his girlfriend, whatever her name was, they're both very clearly very toxic. And what they did is not right. And it's good that he's not around anymore, but, like, man, he I really like Jonathan Majors as an actor. I think he did a great job. I think he was doing a great job as Kang, and it's a shame that he's gone now. Um, but yeah, I didn't mind Quantumania. It was a good movie. Ish. Yeah, I'm trying to be as blind as possible in terms of all the movies, but I have not gotten my Deadpool and Wolverine tickets. Mainly, there's a few reasons. I'm on finishing vacation that weekend that it ends, so probably not gonna be able to see it. And then I also live in New England where there's not a lot of young people, so I feel like I'll be able to watch it on, like, Monday or Tuesday and get tickets without a problem, like, seeing it in the morning. Yeah, DMV, I don't think you're wrong. I think it did lose a lot of public favor because of Jonathan Majors. Yeah. Overall, I agree. Like, most of this stuff now with everything that's happening, I think it is gonna be hard for a lot of people who are just coming in to, like, understand what's going on. Thanks, Ish. We're not going super far. We're only going, like, an hour away, so should be fun, but I appreciate that. Um, that's probably the easiest way out, Mo, right? Of, like, all those Kangs you saw were not the real Kangs. This is the real Kang. It's the easiest out. And that right there, Mo. I'd love them to show the post-credit Coliseum scene with the Kangs get destroyed by the recast Kang. That's literally the easiest way that they can go. At this point, Polly, too, like, I don't want them to drop the Kang storyline because I feel like it's so integral now, but I feel like they're not gonna make it as big as it was going to be. They're probably just gonna continue to ride it because they kinda have to, and then I think it's gonna be done. Ooh, introduce the new Kang during Comic-Con. That would be interesting. I'd honestly be surprised if they did that. You need a Charlie Day style board to keep up. That is for sure. Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why they're gonna end up doing, like, that soft reboot, just to, like, set people back to, like, not feel like they have to watch however many years of movies at this point to understand what's going on. But I don't know. I agree, Mo. I hate that Jonathan Majors messed it all up. That damn it. Damn him. But they did nerf Kang. Like, from the little bit that I've seen so far, like, he is a very powerful character, and it's just like, yeah, Loki season 2 was great. It did kinda make him a little lame. I liked where they went with it. It was just I don't know. I feel like they're at that point, they were just, like, fumbling so much of, like, what to do. I wouldn't mind for a soft reboot, right? Like, all these people were still the characters, but now we have new ones. So if we wanna reintroduce someone, we can. Whatever. We're in a new universe after all this happened, and these are our new characters. While some of them are new, and then some of them have been brought forward from the old universe. Like, I wouldn't wanna get rid of a lot of the newer people that have come in recently, like, um, Kamala Khan, Aman Vellani. Like I'd still want um Yelena, Kate Bishop, who else? There's tons of people, but I wouldn't want those folks to be gone just yet. I have to rewatch The Eternals. I watched it on Disney when it came out, however many years ago. I also think I was very tired that night that I watched it and I fell asleep some of it. um, but overall, it's not my favorite Marvel movie. But that's coming from a bad opinion piece right there. So I think I need to rewatch it. Polly, you did fall asleep. I probably did. I'm almost positive I fell asleep for some of it. I was also really confused because none of it really seemed, again, this is like pre me even understanding who most of these characters were. And I was like, how does this even connect to Marvel at all? Ish, thanks for coming on for a little bit. Appreciate you, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. Yeah, that's how I felt, Mo. And I was like, what is happening? I don't even understand what's going on. And it was just like, what? But again, I also fell asleep for some of it. And and it doesn't necessarily need to be fully connected. I just need some sort of connection. But like I felt like I was so lost because I didn't even know who these characters were. So I was like, none of this makes sense to me right now. None of it. Yeah, that makes sense. Werewolf by Night. Like I get that now though. Like that makes more sense. I think I went into it knowing or like thinking the Eternals was going to be like, okay, we're in the MCU. This is going to continue this MCU timeline, storyline. And I was like, what? How does this work? I feel like that would have been better, DMV, like making Eternals a mini series. Because I feel like it would have, I probably would have understood more of like what the heck was happening or not happening. Yeah, that's exactly it, Mo, for me, right there. You hit the nail on the head. All these were new characters. Again, this was like someone who only knew what was going on because of all the previous MCU movies. And I was like, who are all these characters? We've never seen or heard any of them from before. I didn't even know half of these were in Marvel. And then I didn't even understand what was going on. Ooh, if they did a wide release of X-Men 97 in movie theaters, would you all go? Probably. It's that good to watch in theaters. They don't even need to cut it, Mo. I would go watch the whole thing, however long that would take. I would totally go. But yeah, so so good. Phantom Menace re-release. Oh man, you can't just leave us on that, Mo. What is your dream MCU project that will never happen? Oh man, that would be amazing. I was a little upset that he wasn't in Quantumania. Like he's talking to the Watcher. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. Uh, I'm still a little upset that he wasn't in Quantumania, but that would be hilarious. Him talking to the Watcher. Oh, that would be amazing. Nice, Mo. Polly, you're probably right. Luis, I don't know if Luis understands the MCU at this point. Yeah, I don't know where Luis was, DMV, right? Like, even just for like a small little section, like at a dinner, when they were at dinner at some point, or like maybe saw him when he was going to like pick up some of his coffee or wherever he was or his ice cream. He's a business owner. He had to work. You could be right, Polly. He could be right. I like pod racing. It is fun to watch, Polly. Pod racing is fun to watch. Oh, where'd we go? There we are. Okay. Oh man. If there was I'll ask this question. If there was one MCU movie that you could remake that's been out already, what would it be? No Way Home for me. What would you change, Polly? Ooh, Thor: The Dark World. Yeah, that one could definitely be remade. I don't know why for me, but like my initial thought is um Multiverse of Madness. I don't know why. Just something about it. Go for it, DMV. Go for it. Yeah. That's a good point, Mo. Sif and the Three Warriors. Yeah, they're not like really big at all in that. You would remake Loki. Both seasons? DMV? Ooh. Endgame does really rehab that Thor movie, that's for sure. What would you change, DMV, about Loki? Yeah, that's fair. Don't like how they did Kang. Season 1 of Loki could have been a bit tighter in the middle episodes. Probably. I'm trying to think back now. I can't remember. I feel like the whole this season with I can't think of her name right now. Sophie. And like the back and forth with her. I don't know. It was just a little much for me this past season. Like if I had to pick something, it was probably that. He's like Kenny from South Park. Yeah, I feel like Victor Timely was definitely nerfed and just like he wasn't how much it should have been. Especially after reading of like how much he was like building up his like little secret empire over Wisconsin or wherever he was in the middle of the United States. And then it wasn't really that at all. It was an interesting romantic storyline. And I felt like it just like it was just, to me, it just like drug on for too long, Polly. Yeah, Mo. Like I totally get it. And He Remains at the end was amazing. Like his whole speech monologue at the end was great. Again, I'm still so pissed that Jonathan Majors screwed it up for everyone. Marvel fan, good for you to be back. We're just talking all live action stuff now. We're talking about like I asked the question if you could change one MCU movie and or show live action, what would it be? We talked about this last time. Secret Invasion. What else is there to say besides that sigh? So not good. So not good. Not good at all. I don't know what else to say about it. There were definitely parts, Polly, where it was good, right? Like there were definitely really good parts. But the ending was garbage. They killed off way too many people that they shouldn't have killed. It did feel really small, Mo. From my understanding of like the comparison to the comics, felt really small. I felt like they killed off people that probably shouldn't have been killed off. And then they made Gaia into the strongest character. They treated the scrolls like they were mutants. You're not wrong. And it definitely only took place within a 5-mile radius. Yes, that is also true. Definitely took place in a 5-mile radius. We also don't know who Nick, the retcon Fury, even is by now. Yeah. But like, how are you gonna kill Maria Hill? How are you gonna kill Talos, like, come on. Yeah. I'm waiting for them to bring Maria Hill back somehow in this entire multiverse world because this is ridiculous. Yeah, it was. It was also just like, I don't know. Again, some of the like Cold War stuff, again, was pretty good. Like Secret Spy stuff. But man. Also that, right? DMV, right? Like there was nothing between Secret Invasion and the Marvels. And like that's where Fury was this entire time, chilling and then going to space. And again, nothing. There's nothing in between either of them. Yeah. Yeah, see, I don't know much Mo about Secret Invasion, but yeah, only this one. If there were so many more. Marvel fan. Change She-Hulk. Yeah, I just think Secret Invasion could have been so different. But man, they dropped the ball. Yeah. That's exactly it, Polly. It should have been a setup for a phase. And maybe that's the way they're going to want it to be, Mo. Maybe they didn't plan it that way, but they're like, maybe it is best that we just pretend like Secret Invasion never did happen. I like that too, DMV, like learning Fury's secret scroll wife. Yeah, that was good. That would have been good. That would have been good, Mo. Use the snap to change all their infiltrators. Yeah, that makes sense. Would have been super easy too. Right? Yeah, Mo. Never introduced the idea of scroll sleeper agents. There's just so much they left on the table with that. It just was not thought out well. Ugh. Freaking Secret Invasion. That's what it almost seemed like that they were trying to do too, right? It seemed like that they were trying to make it set up some stuff. And then it never really went anywhere. Meanwhile, we'll just have Carol call up Valkyrie and take the rest of the scrolls that they saved from another planet to somewhere that they can live safe and sound. Nick Fury couldn't do that though. In however many years he was trying to find a new place for the scrolls to live, and Carol did it in 5 minutes. Didn't seem like it, Mo, right? Like, it didn't seem like they were a threat. But, man. Yeah, that's true. Like, they never established before the series that Skrulls are actually dangerous and have enemies in the galaxy because they tend to infiltrate and conquer planets. Yeah. The only thing that I was aware of was, again, obviously them versus the Kree, right? That's another one that I have to watch, DMV. Yeah, it almost seemed like it didn't seem like the Kree, not the Kree, the Skrulls were dangerous because, like Polly just said, they were like refugees from the Kree. So it was kind of like we're trying to save them, but then it was obviously there was a small faction in there that were like, we can just take over this planet because we can. Yeah, the Kree, from reading other stuff now, the Kree are way stronger than what they've been portrayed as. The Shi'ar. uh, whatever they do with the Shi'ar, I hope they have them have that ridiculous hair slash headdress that they all have. Better be that way. I'm going to be upset. I have not read that. I have not read Annihilation. Polly probably has. Again, I'll add it to the never ending backlog of things. Oh, it's good to know. Right there with you, Marvel fan. No more X-Men 97 is sad. Hence why we're going to continue. We will be continuing Wednesday live streams, ideally, hopefully. With peace out, DMV. Thanks for having you here. I'm gonna have to go soon too, but thanks for being here. That's why we're gonna continue Wednesday live streams with starting off X-Men Evolution. All thanks to Polly pushing me to watch that. So everyone can thank Polly for that. Which is great for some 2000s nostalgia, by the way. I'm definitely going to have to check out Annihilation. You're not wrong, Polly. Go from 97 to 2000s. It is correct. Seems right on the timeline. Although we kind of go back in time. I haven't watched it either, Marvel fan. I just started watching it. I'm like halfway through the first season, and it's on Disney Plus. So okay, that's good to know, Mo. You can watch X-Men Evolution on Disney Plus. It's on there. So many things to read and watch. We've got so many things. Oh man. And Gamora in the MCU eventually also becomes more comic book like. The original one, Marvel fan, or not the original one, but the one from '92, the animated series. Yeah, I watched that. I know some people are rewatching that now. I did that before we did '97. So now we're on to new things. As much as I like rewatching stuff, there's a lot of stuff that I haven't seen. So I figured I might as well do that. Like there's so many. I'm definitely on an animated kick right now, and there's so many that I'd like to watch that I haven't watched. I've heard really good things about the Defenders, Mo. I've heard really good things about the Defenders, so I hear it's definitely very like interesting, like fun read. All right, y'all. The plan is Wednesday's probably still happening live stream wise. I'll let you know if we can't, but the plan is to keep going with X-Men Evolution. Polly, do you have a I asked a question on Threads and I haven't looked yet, but do you have a thought as to like how much to talk about in a live stream? Like a whole season's worth, half a season? Obviously, we'll probably diverge and talk about other things just like today, but um do you have any thoughts on that? Anyone have thoughts? Some of the stuff, Mo, as we're talking here, the Iron Fist, some of the Iron Fist stuff that I have read is not necessarily from Ed Brubaker, but it is good to read. Probably half a season. Yeah, that makes sense. They're short. They're short episodes. They're only like the standard whatever 20-ish minute length. So it doesn't take too long to run through some of them. Yeah. Episodes are great, but no one is watching an episode per week. No. Don't even think I'd want to do one episode per week. There's not enough there's not enough to talk about in just one. Yeah. I might need to start taking some notes so far, but I'm about halfway through the first season. I think I'm like eight episodes in, and I feel like there's only somewhere between 13 and 16 episodes. So we're getting there. And then beyond that, we'll keep going. I know Mo wants to do Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, so we'll probably talk about that at some point. I haven't even seen Wolverine, whatever that one is, the animated Wolverine one. So lots of things to keep talking about. And again, we'll probably digress and talk about other stuff too, just like today. But I should probably get going. Hope everyone has a great weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend here in the States. If you're here in the States, I know, Polly, you're not, but enjoy your holiday weekend. Otherwise, enjoy your regular weekend. And X-Men anime? I did not know that, Polly. Come on, Polly, stop. Stop telling me stuff that I didn't know existed. Thanks, Marvel fan. I appreciate that. Hopefully you can make some more live streams. Oh, Mo, working all through the holiday. Well, hopefully you enjoy whenever you get off next. But I'll catch everyone around and see everyone on Threads in like 5 minutes. Calling sick. That's it. He did just start a new job. I don't know how likely that's going to be. I don't know how likely he'll be able to do that. Yeah, there it is. Can't do that. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for being here. Appreciate you. See ya on the next one.